What if the way you've always heard about conflicts in Africa is only part of the story? What if the headlines, the quick explanations, and the simplified narratives have been leaving out the most important pieces, the human stories, the history, and the deeper forces shaping everything? Because the truth is, many of Africa's most talked about conflicts are also some of the most misunderstood. When people hear about conflict in Africa, it's often reduced to a few familiar phrases: ethnic violence, tribal tensions, or political instability. But those words, while sometimes rooted in reality, barely scratch the surface. They simplify something that is deeply complex, layered, and shaped by decades, sometimes centuries, of history. To really understand these conflicts, we have to slow down and look beyond the surface. Let's start with something many people don't realize. The borders of most African countries were not originally designed by the people who live there. They were drawn during the colonial era, often with straight lines across maps, cutting through communities and combining groups with very different languages, cultures, and systems of leadership. When independence came, these new nations didn't start from a blank slate. They inherited borders, systems, and tensions that had already been set in motion. Imagine trying to build unity in a country where the foundation itself was never designed to hold everyone together equally. That challenge alone has shaped the trajectory of many nations. But history doesn't act alone. It interacts with power. In many cases, political systems became highly competitive, where access to leadership meant access to resources, influence, and opportunity. Over time, this created environments where political exclusion could feel like total exclusion from the benefits of the nation itself. And when people begin to feel that the system no longer represents them, frustration starts to grow. This is where misunderstandings often begin. From the outside, a conflict might look like it's driven purely by identity, different groups in opposition. But identity is often just one piece of a much larger puzzle. In many situations, it becomes a way for leaders or movements to organize support, to create unity within a group, and to define who belongs and who doesn't. It's not always the root cause, but it can become the language through which conflict is expressed. Then there's the role of resources. Africa is incredibly rich in natural wealth: oil, minerals, fertile land. But instead of always being a source of shared prosperity, these resources can sometimes become sources of competition. Who controls them? Who benefits from them? And who is left out? When large portions of a population feel excluded from the wealth around them, it creates a powerful sense of injustice. And in some cases, that sense of injustice can evolve into organized resistance. Another piece of the puzzle is governance. Strong institutions, fair legal systems, transparent elections, accountable leadership can help manage differences and resolve tensions peacefully. But when institutions are weak or under pressure, it becomes much harder to address grievances before they escalate. In those moments, small conflicts can grow into larger ones. And then there's something even more complex: external influence. Throughout history, African countries have often been connected to global interests, whether political, economic, or strategic. At times, outside actors have supported certain governments or groups, sometimes unintentionally deepening existing tensions. This doesn't mean conflicts are caused from the outside, but it does mean they can be influenced in ways that aren't always visible. When you bring all these elements together, history, power, identity, resources, governance, and external dynamics, you begin to see why these conflicts are so often misunderstood. They don't have a single cause. They don't follow a simple pattern. And they certainly can't be explained in just a few words. But here's something important to remember. Behind every conflict are people, families, communities, individuals trying to live their lives, raise children, build futures. And in many cases, those same people are also part of the solution, working toward peace, rebuilding trust, and finding ways to move forward. Because despite the challenges, Africa is also a continent of resilience. There are countless examples of communities coming together after conflict, of nations rebuilding institutions, and of leaders and citizens working, sometimes against the odds, to create stability and progress. These stories don't always make headlines, but they matter. And understanding the real story behind these conflicts isn't just about knowing what went wrong. It's about recognizing what can go right. It's about seeing the full picture, not just the simplified version. So the next time you hear about conflict somewhere in Africa, take a moment to ask, what's the deeper story here? What history led to this moment? What voices aren't being heard? Because when we begin to ask better questions, we begin to understand the world in a more meaningful way. And that understanding is where change begins. If this video helped you see things from a new perspective, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What part of the story stood out to you the most? And what topic would you like to explore next? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.